Hey dorks, just a quick message reminding you to head over to twitch.tv/mindgappodcast and give us a follow. We live stream when we record our new podcast episodes, and we're live streaming video game sessions on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We're playing super rad stuff like Among Us, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, Jackbox games, and Tabletop Simulator. Come hang out and play along with us. That's twitch.tv/mindgappodcast.
Mind Gap Podcast.
Welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And welcome. I mean, we're glad you're here. I mean, as always, you're here, we're here.
I thought you were just going to end the episode after that.
And thank you.
It was going to be,
and have a dandy fucking week.
Have a dandy fucking week. Goodbye.
Goodbye. How we all doing? And we're shoving meat up our butts. Yes, before we went live, having a big callback. If you remember, I don't remember the episode, we were talking about the guy who had a fetish of when he would call a high-end escort, fly her from LA to Colorado. He would rent out this executive suite, the presidential suite, and then he would order 5 pounds of raw hamburger from the hotel, and then he would basically have this escort push the 5 pounds of meat into his butt, and that was it. Nothing sexual about it. Nothing sexual about it. Just pushed it in, and when she was done, that was it. You know, he took her out to a nice dinner, had a good time, flew her back, you know, and then that was it. Nothing to it. So we present this to you again. If someone were to offer you to do that, say pay you $5,000, would you do it? Noah remembers that one. Do you remember?
Like this is the episode that Drew will be tuning into, and immediately, like, we're gonna watch the number of viewers drop by 1 in about 10 seconds.
Or what if it just shot through the roof and people are like, all right, I want you to do this more and just talk slower.
Here's the thing. We got to give the people what they want. So this would then just become the Butt Meat Backlog podcast.
This is our hot tub stream, essentially, at that point in time. That's what we become.
Welcome to the Mind Gap Butt Meat Backlog podcast. My name is Justin. I'm joined, as always,
by me,
my
Doug.
counterparts. Doug. Oh, yeah.
And here we're scratching 2 itches. One, lovers of meat, encased meat, and finding places where it can go.
That might be my favorite one.
I can't talk about the parts. I just can't. I can't.
We are collectively, we are way too old to be doing that.
Boy, that one really got me. I was trying hard to keep a straight face, and I couldn't do it. That fart really pushed me over the edge. Whew. Well, welcome to the show, everybody, and welcome to the show. Oh, my nipples are hard now from laughing so hard. Does that happen to you? Maybe? No? Okay, cool. Just me. Let's get our housekeeping out of the way real quick here.
All right, chill your tits.
And then we will, they're chilled. And we'll move right along. So first of all, if you don't already, please check us out on Spotify. Follow us there. Enjoy our content there, as well as other places. But, you know, Spotify, we exist there. Second of all, please join our Discord server. What's Discord, you may ask? It's a giant community online where you can live chat with all of your cool friends like us, like Zenny, like Noah, like Wolf, like Jared, like Slotty, and so many more, and Tint. And we get together, we play games, we share great memes, we hang out, we'll be doing some movie nights. It's going to be a good time. So to join our Discord, just head over to twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. In our About section, you'll see a little button that says Discord. Just click on that, take you right on over, join our family, hang out with us. We'd love to have you be there. Next up, also, please don't forget to check out our merch on redbubble.com. Head over to Redbubble, search for Mind Gap Podcast. You'll find 2 designs there. Pick yourself something great. It's summer. It's the post 4th of July time. Go get yourself something nice. Get yourself a nice tank top, maybe a cool hat, maybe a bag, maybe a pillow.
shower curtain.
Whatever you want. It's yours. You deserve it. You support us. You support yourself and your buying habits. Go do it.
Go get a clock to put on your wall.
There you go. The world is your oyster. Fuck it. And last but not least, if you're listening and you don't know about it, please come hang out with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. We live stream our podcast episodes every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central. And we do video game live streams, usually on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central. Apologies. There was nothing last weekend because of the 4th of July, and I was out of town. So, but this weekend, coming right up your butt, straight from the dungeon, it is Dungeons and Dragons, the fantasy board game. We're heading back in the dungeon. We got Justin as Miley, the elven wizard. We've got Eric as Josen, the human cleric. We've got Jared, the halfling thief. And unfortunately, Sam won't be there, so stepping in for him will be our very own Slutty Bartfast, who's going to be playing as Regdar, the human fighter. So we're going to see if they can finish up this adventure and level up. It's going to be a really good time. I'm excited for it. So that's 8 p.m. Central Time at twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. Come on, hang out, cheer them on, root against them. I don't know. Hang out. Give us your stuff. It's great. It's
going to be a good time. Troll us. We're fine with it. We've murdered many dungeon trolls.
That's right. And odds are we will have a debate about color, because that always happens about whether or not something is red. So that's exactly, what you want to do. So... yes. Speaking of, Justin, how was your 4th of July, pal?
Oh, my God. Doug, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it. Fuck the 4th of July.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Hard stop. I don't know. Look, after the last couple years, at the last, I'd say at least 2 years, it's real hard to want to celebrate this country after some of the bullshit that we've been, actually really after the last 5 years, real hard to want to celebrate this country. Also, if you own a dog, then you probably understand. Right, exactly. Ferrets forever. If you own a dog, you understand how stressful this fucking holiday can be, because everyone just decides to blow up thousands of dollars around the house. It sounds like you're in a war zone. It's horrendous. I had a wonderful time hanging out with family, a horrendous time with all the fucking explosions. And it seemed to be that everyone had pent up, excitement and or aggression and just wanted to blow everything up this year.
Blow it up.
That's what happened.
Blow it up, son.
I don't know. I'm finding it harder and harder to get excited for the 4th of July.
So the 4th of July is to you what St. Patrick's Day is to me. It sounds like.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, where you're just like, I don't get why everyone's so happy.
I don't understand.
I don't get why everyone's celebrating.
Yeah, I don't get it. 4th of July, I think I've determined is my favorite holiday. I think it's the one for me. But here's the thing. I don't shoot off fireworks. Never have. Never intend to. It just has this beautiful vibe to me. Not about the fireworks, but I went and got to hang out at a cabin on a lake. But before that happened, last Friday, my neighbors came over. I made some pulled pork, some roasted potatoes, and some veggies with them. They brought over an ice cream cake. We had a lovely dinner. We hung out for a couple hours. It was the fucking best. It was amazing. Yeah. The next morning, we got up bright and early, drove up to Wisconsin, hung out with Jill's family at a cabin for 2 days. Natalie got to swim in a lake, had a blast. Loki got to swim in the lake. She had a blast. They had this little mat that was like just connected to their dog. Loki swam out to the mat, hung out on the mat, was living her best life. I made some more pulled pork for that. I mean, we just had a really good time, and that vibe of family hanging out. It's warm. We're having good food. We're by a body of water. We're just hanging out, enjoying our time together. And then at the end of the night, there's some fireworks, and which were good, for the most part. And I'm lucky fireworks don't bother Loki. So she was outside, passed out, giant firecrackers going off. She didn't give a shit. She could care less.
Hopefully that stays that
Agreed.
way, because Abby was better when she was younger, But there's that point, and my dad's dog is the same way. They were talking about the older that dog gets, the more it is, jittery around the fireworks. So I'm hoping that Loki stays that way, because there are some dogs that are totally fine with it. But I know it is hellacious for so many dogs, and it's just, I don't know. There was 3 fucking hours from like 8 to 10, and then it trickled off, but continued till just past midnight. But 8 to 10, when I say it was nonstop explosions, I'm not being facetious, or I'm not exaggerating here. It was nonstop wall of sound explosions. Not like, oh, this side of the neighborhood did it for a little bit, then 5 minutes later this side did. No, nonstop explosions for 3 solid hours. It probably was the worst that it's ever been on 4th of July. Everyone, I can't imagine how much money was blown up that night.
Yeah, I realized as some people were setting some stuff off, I'm like, this may be close to $10,000 that they just exploded in the sky.
Industrial grade shit, some of these people.
Yeah, you heard the mortars going off.
Right?
I'm like, that ain't cheap.
Cheap, right? Someone's got to knock that into the ground and then zero in. They got to click in their target. Yeah. The thing is, I feel like you can do that though. Like, pick a weekend, go up for the fight. I would, for me, I don't hinge that on, like, I could celebrate Arbor Day the same way. Like, let's go to a lake and celebrate trees and then hang out as a family and chop them down.
Sure.
I don't know. I just, the whole, everything, like, the people wishing me happy 4th of July. Hey, happy Independence Day. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. It's like random people who wish me happy Father's Day. I'm like, you don't get to wish me a happy Father's Day. A, you don't know.
Right.
And B, I think that's weird. So don't.
Yeah.
To me, although I nothing Mother's Day and Father's Day.
Wishing you Father's Day, happy Father's Day. I will never stop.
I remember working at a job, and there was someone who's like, "You didn't wish me a happy Mother's Day." I'm like, "Okay, sorry,
I didn't guilted you for that."
I was like, I didn't realize that was my job to do that. I feel like that's such a personal thing to wish somebody. Like,
yeah,
and not only that, so many people you don't know if they're a mother or a father, or what's kind of weird. Is if someone's trying to have kids and they can't, and then you wish them a happy Mother's Day or Father's Day. That's also something I'm kind of sensitive to as well. I'm just like, I'm just not going to bother with that. But back to 4th of July.
Well, the people that piss me off are the people who wish me happy Father's Day because I have Abby.
Oof.
I want to fucking throttle those
happy
people.
Father's Day. It's like,
oh, you got a baby pup? Oh, you're a doggy daddy? I'm like, I'm not. I'm a dog owner.
You're like, my mom, my wife is into pup play, but I mean,
What we do, all right, when we go to the furry conventions, that's none of your business.
It's not sexual.
Our business.
It's not sexual. It's just about her wanting to be a dog,
This is community-based.
And I have to train her how to be a good dog.
Right.
We put a butt plug in that's a tail and everything. It's great.
Sure.
Are
our carpets a mess? Absolutely. But it's worth it.
Jared says, I had a coworker who complained nobody wished her a happy wedding anniversary. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Like, A, don't know. B, if I did know, I probably forgot. C, don't care. That's yours, man.
Enjoy that. Take the day off. Don't make me even have to wish it to you.
Her husband did, but apparently she expected everyone to know. Fuck yourself.
That's gross. I don't like that.
Fuck yourself. Like, I don't. No. That's just not who I am. I don't garner that kind of attention, and I don't want it. Yeah. Says a guy who's on a podcast and broadcasting on Twitch. I don't want that attention. I want some attention, but I don't care about that. I don't need someone like every year on my birthday. Anyone who wishes me happy birthday it's bonus to me because I don't expect anyone to give a shit. I don't do a whole lot for my birthday. I keep it pretty low key, and I'm always just pleasantly surprised. Who's just like, "Hey, Doug, happy birthday." I'm like, "That's cool, man. I don't expect you to know." And if you do, great. Like it means a lot to me, and I leave it at that. Like I don't make it's my birthday month. I don't do anything like that. And
before I got off Facebook, I would obsess over. I'm just like, oh, I got less happy birthdays than I did last year. People mad at me, and then I realized how much that had seeped into my fucking brain, and I was like, this isn't healthy. Get off this shit. And now I'm the same way. I'm like, I have it with my family, and if anyone else remembers, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. But I don't expect anyone to remember. It's my day.
Yeah. And I'll say,
no, it's no one else's day.
I'll say this much too. Like, to everyone that's out there, to you, Justin, to everyone except my wife and my daughter, I'm going to forget your birthday. And it's nothing personal. It's just going to happen. Like,
I have yours in my phone, by the way.
I think I have yours in mine, but it's in there somewhere, and I will probably find it. But it's just one of those things where I don't have the mental capacity to do that. Some people, my mom is killer with dates. She'll be like, 6 years ago today, we were down. She knows trips. She knows this. I mean, she's got it locked up there. For me, that's not where my brain space goes. I'm thrilled if I remember somebody's name. Like, I get pumped about that. Like, I get real excited. I'm like, I can confidently say your name and not back out at the last second,
Hey, guy.
What's up, buddy?
I know your birthday is somewhere between October and September.
You're correct. That's absolutely right. I think yours is in the summer.
Accurate.
Yes. See? There we go.
There you go. The only thing that I fully remember is that we were both born in 83, and your birthday comes before mine.
And I know yours comes after mine, so we're good.
January to July. I know your birthday is somewhere in there, and that you turn the age I'm going to be turning before I do. Yeah.
Oh, Jared says he was on the podcast for his birthday last year, and he didn't even bother mentioning it. Well, happy belated birthday.
Yeah, man. Yay,
Doug knows stuff.
Yay, Doug.
Yay, Doug knows stuff.
As far as the 4th of July goes, look, if people want to celebrate it, that's fine. And I actually like fireworks shows, to go to a
professionals
sponsored thing where everyone goes and sees it, and then in 15 minutes you're done. Enough. Yeah. You don't have it go until midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. Jagoffs, blowing up M80s in the alley behind the house. I don't need that. I don't. Also, I've always had, and this is just a personal hang up, I've always had a real hard time with this feeling of deep rooted patriotism.
Yeah.
To me, that feels gross. And again, if someone else identifies with that, I'm not going to knock them for it, but I very much don't need that. That's not how I identify.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the same boat there. Like, I find a lot of stuff nowadays. If I see someone, we saw a guy driving home who had a flag attached to his car as he was driving down the interstate. I was like, I don't think you need to do that. Like, I just don't. Right. Some people put out flags and stuff like that. I'm like, that's fine. I kind of look at a lot of that as just sort of like decorating your house for Christmas, right? It's the holiday.
Sure.
But there's some people that are really like, I love this country. I'm like, listen, I love living here too. But if anything, if I see the flag nowadays prominently displayed on a billboard or someone's bumper sticker on their car, I get the heebie-jeebies. I get that's someone I don't want to know,
right?
In general. And if anything, really, let's talk about just bumper stickers in general. The people that proudly proclaim,
just do away with them,
what they want. I go, thank you for doing that, because I'll know I never want to talk to you. If you pull up next to me and start talking to me, or if I see you get into a car that's littered with things that's choose life, your mom did. I'm like, cool, we're done. Which, by the way, is a real sign for a church we drove by on the way to the cabin. It was choose life, your mother did. I was like, that almost sounds like your mom joke, and I loved it. I laughed really hard when I saw it. I was trying to be very genuine, but I was like, hey, your mom did,
I love that, yes.
Yeah.
Tim says there are a lot of immigrants that are happy to be here. That's absolutely true. And again, I support that. If people want to have that sense of patriotism and pride for this country, I'm all for that. You have that for yourself. My baggage is that we've done so much fucked up shit in this country to so many people and to so many marginalized groups. I find it real hard to be like, yeah, we're awesome.
And for the record, most of the people that are presenting the flag are not immigrants. They're white dudes with goatees. I'd say that's typically who they are and who I've seen. Yeah. And those are the people I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. I don't need to hang out with you.
As far as immigrants being excited to be here and to celebrate being here, that 110% on that. It's just, I think that's what it is. It's the people who pronounce America, Murica. It's those people. And we all know who we're talking about.
Jared says,
those are the people I have a hard time with.
Jared says bumper stickers are for crickers.
There you go. Exactly.
Nice. Deep cut.
That's another way to identify the people we're talking about.
For sure. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Going back to 4th of July, though, if you didn't have a dog, would you like it more, less, or the same?
I would probably be marginally more okay with the goings on.
Okay.
But again, and I don't know what it was. Well, you guys weren't in your. Since you've been in your house, have you spent any 4th of July at your house, or do you guys?
This was actually the first year we were here for actual 4th of July in the 3.5 years that we've been in our house, which was funny because we were like, where do we go for fireworks? Because like we literally didn't know, and it was a 10-minute walk from our house, which was awesome.
That's fantastic.
And it was awful lot of fireworks going off in our neighborhood. But the thing is, I also grew up in Missouri, where that was no big deal. So I don't think that affects me as much because there was always people setting off fireworks.
Yeah.
Someone at work today was asking me, they're like, oh, it felt like a war zone. I was like, I think I'm used to it because I've always been around it. And it's not, people were just, the side of my street was smoky from people setting stuff off in the street. And I'm just like, I mean, that sounds about right.
I think more so what it is I'm where I currently am. And you and I have had extensive conversations about this. Where I currently live, we've got, people drag racing their kit cars with exhaust systems. You've got motorcycles, for some reason, ATVs and dirt bikes. You've got, all sorts of just nonstop aggressive noise until the wee hours of the morning during the summer. So I think that has exhausted me to the point where I'm just like, hey, take your fireworks, shove them up your ass, then light them. Yeah. Because I think if I got some separation from the current area where I'm at and I didn't have that basically nonstop during the summer, I might be more okay with it. I think
that's a really good point.
My nerves are basically shot at this point.
That's very fair because I just, I remember being down in the city and just the overall just so many people doing so many stupid things. And really that's what it boils down to is I am the same way. I love a professional fireworks show. Yes. It's great. When we went and watched it,
I get tingles when I see a really cool fireworks show.
Natalie loved it. We went and saw it and she was like, whoa, this is so cool. The finale was amazing, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And then there's just the guy that's like, pew, 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 pew. Those ones going off in their backyard. It's just like, listen, I don't know you and I don't trust you because you're a human and I don't trust you with explosives. Right. So, it's those are the things where I'm like, hey, to each their own. I'm sure it's cool to set off fireworks. I've never really done it.
We used to do it when I was younger.
Yeah.
But we had family that was out in a more rural area and it wasn't in a densely populated area. And we stopped just after the sun went down. Like we would set off some of the more like poppy ones. And then the ones that had color to them, we would set those up just after dusk. And then we were done. Yeah. Because we were fucking decent human beings.
Yeah.
Enjoy them and then be done with them.
I think this year seems less chaotic to me because people have been out more. Whereas last year, 4th of July stuff was canceled. And I think people had a lot of pent up stuff. So throughout the year, I just remember hearing fireworks. I think people were bored. Yeah. And that's the thing that I think kind of sucks about from June until like August. Is there's just this smattering of fireworks that are just randomly going off, which kind of sucks. It's like, Halloween's over and then Christmas stuff goes from November 1st through, mid-January. It's kind of the same thing with this. It's like, listen, especially if it's like 10 o'clock at night on not 4th of July, it's like, go fuck yourself. Don't fire this stuff off. I remember turning into Old Man Doug last year, or maybe, it was last year. During the fall, someone just set off a whole shitload of fireworks in the detention pond at 10 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. And I ran out there in my flip-flops just to see if I could catch the little fuckers that did it. And I was so mad because Natalie's trying to sleep and it's just like, God damn it, man. What are you fucking doing? I know you're bored, but come on. It's just kids being kids, which, I hid behind a tree to see if I could spot them, see if they'd return to the scene of the crime. I was like, I dared to come back. I was like, what am I gonna do if I find him? Am I gonna punch him? Like, what's gonna happen there? It was just so dumb.
Gonna take my flip flop and throw it at him.
It's a very get off my lawn moment, Slotty. You're absolutely right. I was just so livid because they'd been setting them off and they were big, loud, blasty fireworks, and then they just set a whole box of them off. It was just I was like running down the street. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, again, didn't know what I was gonna do if I found him. And I saw bike tracks, so they'd set them off and then biked away, and I was like, "You fucking cocksuckers!"
I like how like reactionary it was, because you're just like, your instinct was to be like, "I'm gonna need to go towards that and get them," and then the practical Doug side came in, and you're like, "Okay, great," but it's like when a dog chases a car. Dog's like, "Great, I'm gonna chase this fucking thing," and then it's like, "Cool." So what do you do when you get it?
Yeah. Well, now what are you gonna do? Was I in my underwear and dressing gown? No, I was in my shorts and t-shirt, and I put on my shitty flip-flops and ran down the street.
I talked to Drew, and I was surprised because he was like, "Yeah, we don't have a lot of people setting off fireworks," and it makes sense because no one wants to burn California down.
That's a very good point.
He's like, "Yeah, a lot of people are just like, cool, we did the professional ones, and we're all just gonna like chill."
Yeah.
But we don't start a statewide fire.
Yeah, the drought out there is a real thing, so I think people are a little more conscious of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That very much makes sense. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like, everything about it's kind of like the same thing with Christmas and me. Like, on the surface, what Christmas is, I don't like it. Right? Yeah. It's the presents, it's the forced getting together, it's blah blah blah. But the things I do like about Christmas are those great moments, the great tradition. Being in a house, having good food, you know, I'm thinking of the smells and things that go along with it. Those are the things I really like. And same thing with 4th of July, like I'm not out there to wave a flag or shoot off fireworks, but I love the vibe of it's hot, it's summertime. As a kid, just summertime was always so special because you weren't in school. It was your free time. 4th of July was big. You know, as a working adult, it's like we're going to get a couple days off here and in a nice warm time in summer. We're going to go someplace. We're going to grill. We're going to barbecue. Hopefully there's some water involved, some water sports, and we're just going to hang out, and it's just going to be a chill time. It's going to be so much fun. And like those are like the things I put around it, and watching fireworks is I've always enjoyed it. So as long as people aren't being idiots, I'm like, this is cool. You know, being on a lake and watching all around the lake as people are firing off fireworks is kind of cool, you know? Being at a cabin, I mean, Jesus, there's nothing more 4th of July than that, right? Being on a cabin on a lake, you know, eating pulled pork, watermelon, and grapes, you know, and having snickerdoodles and just all sorts of shit, you know. It's the fucking best, man. It's the best. It's so much fun. So.
Oh, I couldn't get it up quick enough. Wait, I take that back.
No, tell me more.
I take that back.
This podcast brought to you by Blue Chew. Get it up quicker.
Go ahead and tell me a little bit more about how exciting it was to be on that lake and just how cool how 4th of July it was. Tell me just a little bit more.
It was fine.
Cool.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because they brought up because we were staying at my sister-in-law's husband's brother's cabin, and they're talking about how he should get a boat. And I was like, and Jill goes, Doug, what do you think? I go, shouldn't do it. It's a depreciating asset. And I just sat down. It's like, that was it.
So he unknowingly asked Practical Doug something.
He did. He sure did.
Yeah.
I was like, don't do it. Don't do it, man.
Don't do it. Sits down.
Don't do it.
Quiet.
Yeah.
No one talked the rest of the time.
Jill was like, here's this alley-oop, Doug. Practical Doug, dunk. I was like, don't do it. It's a depreciating asset. Sat down. Game over.
Game over.
Game over. I'm sorry, I said snickerdoodle. I meant scotcheroo. Big difference. Sorry. My bad. Thank you, Slotty.
Yeah.
Don't
fuck that up again.
Yeah, scotcheroos are totally different. Really good.
Doug. I love scotcheroo. Love me a good scotcheroo, personally.
Yeah, so good.
One of my favorite things.
Well, Jared, I'm glad you bring that up because we were absolutely heading in this direction, my friend. So,
guys, I don't know if you know this, but we have a new segment on Mind Gap. And for those of you who like Doug theme songs, you're going to love this.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical, 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 practical. Ask Practical Doug.
That was amazing. Oh my God. Whew. I was hoping that's what the surprise was, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Oh my God.
So, guys, ask Practical Doug. You don't know there's a small person who lives inside Doug. It's a smaller Doug called Practical Doug. And Practical Doug is very practical. And years ago, Practical Doug took to Twitter and answered the internet's questions. And now Practical Doug is back to answer your questions. So if you have a question, you can submit it via any of our social medias. You can email us at mindgappodcast@gmail.com. You can jump on Discord and ask us here, Twitch and ask us here. You can ask us on Discord. Get the question to us, and Practical Doug, will answer, and you will get a really cool theme song. This is just version 1. There will be multiple versions. I threw this together very quickly.
This is
not
so
as
exciting.
good as it could be. But this week's Practical Doug question comes from Jared. Jared asks, Doug, what are the benefits of marriage? I don't mean the romantic bits, that part I understand. I'm talking about the financial and legal benefits of signing a marriage certificate. I'm yet to discover any that aren't just available to de facto couples.
This is a great question, Jared, and let me break it down for you. Here's a couple of key takeaways that you can get from marriage. Number 1, couples with unequal incomes generally get a marriage bonus. And now, this is probably more focused in the US than Australia, but here you go. New tax brackets may mean that couples filing jointly are in a lower bracket. Now, keep in mind, this usually involves if one of the people makes significantly more than the other person. Because if you're filing jointly in that, it'll bring you down to a lower tax bracket. So there you go. If your partner has unused tax deductions, taxpayers who qualify may be able to take advantage of those deductions. First of all, guys, no one said Practical Doug was sexy. All right?
Nope.
We're getting down to the practicalities here.
Sorry, we can make them sexier.
We can. All right, so if one spouse has no income, IRA contributions for the other spouse's income can double. I'm going to say that again. IRA contributions for the other spouse's income can double, as the working partner can fund an account for each. Think about that. IRA, baby. Roth IRA contributions. That's huge. Sorry, said this podcast sponsored by H&R Block, and Noah says HR cock. All right, here we go. Moving on. Here's a big one too. Health insurance can be one of the best financial benefits. A couple whose employers both offer health insurance can choose the plan that's the best or cheapest for them. So think about that. Very important, right?
Yes.
Married couples tend to get discounts on long-term care insurance, auto insurance, and homeowners insurance. And also, lastly, married couples often qualify for better credit and better terms on loans. So, you can put all that romantic shit aside and be like, baby, I want a better credit score. Let's get married. Also, if you get married, you can become a U.S. citizen. Or at least you can go that route if you want to do that. So, practical reasons, right?
There you go.
Once knew a gay man who was from Peru who married a woman for the specific amount of time, got divorced, and then basically was able to apply for a green card. So there are very practical reasons to getting married.
There you go. You guys can find out more practical things if you ask Practical Doug.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical, 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 practical. Ask Practical Doug.
Woo! That sounded like a limerick setup. I once knew a gay man from Peru.
Yeah, it did. Not gonna lie.
Well, I am so thrilled you all got to be a part of this very first Ask Practical Doug. This is something that was always a joke, but also a very real side of me that lives there. And I've even told people in my new job, I go, just so you know, there's a side of me called Practical Doug. You will see him come out from time to time. He's very logical, very practical. You got to appeal to his logical side, and he's going to give you the facts. So, you know, there we go.
So Zinni asks, is Practical Doug larger than Doug Hates Stuff? Because I said that Practical Doug was a smaller Doug that lives inside. So size-wise, like in a throwdown, who would win?
Oh, that's easy. That's Doug Hates Stuff. Like,
Oh, is it? Okay.
Doug's hatred is the Incredible Hulk. to Practical Doug's Bruce Banner. So, I mean, without a doubt.
That's such a great way. That's such a great analogy for those two things. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now,
absolutely.
Which one takes up more space, more real estate in my head? That's a debatable question. It's hard to say because Practical Doug always pops up and it's like, well, actually, you know, Doug Hates Stuff is just loud. He comes out, it's like, I have opinions. I don't like this. You know, onions are stupid. I don't care if they have layers. They smell bad. They taste terrible. You know, like he comes out in that way. You know, fucking prequels to Star Wars. Why bother? You know, he's got things to say. But yeah, they're both very interesting. So there you go.
Yeah,
very good stuff.
So a little insight into Doug's underbelly.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, my underbelly.
I'm curious to see what other Ask Practical Dougs we get. Now that we've officially launched this, we've had our first one. I'm very excited to see what other questions we get.
Exactly.
And what other advice Practical Doug doles out.
It's funny because Jared submitted that several days ago, and I've actually been really thinking about it, so much so that Practical Doug's like, you should probably research this. And therefore I did. And I'm
surprised you didn't just off the top of your head make up whatever you want.
It's funny because what came to my head was like, there's probably a lot of tax stuff. There's probably health insurance stuff. And wouldn't you know it, there it was right there in the research. I was like, cool. I was like, if you're on your deathbed at the hospital, most of the time I think you have to be directly related or family. And, you know, that's kind of the reason why, you know, the gay people were like, we should get married because they won't let us see our partners in the hospital. So there's like another practical thing. So yeah. It sucks to talk about because it's like, yeah, but I love them. It's like, yeah, that's cool. But what's your IRA situation looking like? You know, like how much money are you making? Because you can contribute to both of ours. And that's huge because what happens, you gotta
make them green.
Not only that, IRAs, y'all, Roth IRAs, you get taxed when you put into it. So when you take it out, there are no more taxes, which is why there's a limitation on how much you can contribute in a year as an individual or as a married couple. It's important. Not sexy, but important. You know, years ago, a bunch of guys got together at work and they're like, hey, man, we're going to play shuffleboard after work. You want to come with us? I'm like, oh, sorry, I got to go talk to my financial advisor. And they just stared at me. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Buy a boat? I go, first of all, no, never. Damn it. Never.
I hate it.
But also, I kind of want to retire, like at some point, and I want to be prepared for that. And I understand the time valuation of money and how you start early. That interest builds over time. Start
but
winning.
Can you put a price on the memories they built from playing shuffleboard together?
I also played shuffleboard with them at other times.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what happened that time? Didn't you have FOMO? No.
In fact, I don't know if they realized at that point, but I was pretty good at shuffleboard. Most of the time, I don't think they wanted to play because they would also get more drunk. And I was kind of a ringer. They were like, God damn it. So, yeah, that's a thing. I'm a ringer, y'all.
That's fair. Doug's a ringer at shuffleboard. You heard it right fucking here.
I mean, I don't know if I am anymore, but I used to play it every day at lunch. So,
like,
booyakasha.
Like stand up, full on shuffleboard.
Just like the stuff you see at the bars. You know?
Oh yeah, like the tabletop. Yeah, I got you. Okay, yeah.
Doug shuffleboard Jared, ringer Cochran. That's right.
Yeah, Jared, you get one question a week. Okay. He wants Practical Doug to now tell him about shuffleboard.
Once invented in 1863.
No.
That's gotta be a new rejection of something. No.
No.
Maybe that's gotta be a sound clip we pull. Yes, Jared, a shuffleboard is two. There's the one that you do standing up on a cruise, right? And you push it, but then there's also a tabletop version with little guys, little discs. Yeah. And it's on a sanded, smooth, like sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, some sort of board. When
it's sanded, it's covered in fine granulated sand.
That's what it is, yes. And then you use that and you slide it and it's fun. It's super fun.
Yeah.
Not the old people playing with sticks, no.
I mean, that is the original version of shuffleboard, yes, but it's been since modified so you can play it whilst drinking in a bar or pub, depending on where you're from.
Yeah.
And it has sand. Yes. Jared, things are crazy here in the United States. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy and people that have sand up their butts.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about Stephen Dorf.
Oh, Stephen Dorf hates stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Specifically, the newest Marvel film.
Yeah. I want to just start by saying I'm kind of sad that we're going to be talking about this because this is the least newsworthy thing out there. Like, if you don't know who Stephen Dorf is, exactly. Just to be kind of shitty about it, he's an actor. You may have known him from the very first Blade movie where he played the villain. And he's been in some other stuff, but it's just the thing I don't like about these stories is that it's like when Scorsese was like, I don't like Marvel films, and it became a news thing. Everyone had to have thoughts on Scorsese's thoughts, right?
Right.
About why doesn't Scorsese like the Marvel films, and does that make him a piece of shit? It's like, no, it doesn't. And what I love most was Jon Favreau being like, this is Martin Scorsese. I wouldn't be here without him. He can think whatever he wants. Like, that's right. That's a thing. That's a perspective. And I just think it's funny because at least with Scorsese, whatever. Stephen Dorf is an actor. I've never been an actor, but Scorsese is in the entertainment business. He's a man of note, a man of prestige. And him saying that, it's like, okay, all right. People stop and take note. But Stephen Dorf, who's like, I'm embarrassed for Scarlett Johansson to be a Black Widow. It's like, why is this news? Like, I don't get why. He was in True Detective. Didn't even know.
Well, now correct me what season.
It's also a good question. It's got to be probably a more recent one.
I would assume season 3, but I don't know.
Apparently, he told
2019, so it has to be season 3.
He's like, I still hunt out the good shit because I don't want to be in Black Widow. It looks like garbage to me. It looks like a bad video game. I'm embarrassed for those people. I'm embarrassed for Scarlett. I'm sure she got paid $5-7 million bucks, but I'm embarrassed for her. I don't want to be in those movies. I really don't. I'll find that kid director that's going to be the next Stanley Kubrick, and I'll act for him instead. Okay.
Well,
cool.
To that end, Stephen Dorf, I'd love to know how Albion, the Enchanted Stallion, went for you. Your 2016 film, or how about Sex Guaranteed? Kevin has sworn off sex to win back his former fiancée when he meets a beautiful escort named Zaid, or Zadie. Over the course of a legendary party, Zaid might provide the spark that his heartbroken idealist needs to turn his life around. That sounds like hot new director right there. How about Jackals? Stephen Dorf, set in the 1980s, an estranged family hires a cult deprogrammer to take back their teenage son from a murderous cult, but find themselves under siege when the cultists surround their cabin, demanding their boy back. Good stuff. Jackals. Back to the Enchanted Stallion. No, I'm not going to keep doing this. But Stephen Dorf, I would say, how's that going for you?
Yeah. And listen.
Maybe great. Maybe these movies are fantastic. I don't know,
man. I feel like just, again, I didn't hear him say this, so I don't know what his tone is, as far as the context for this. But when I hear, I'm sure she got paid $5-7 million bucks, but I'm embarrassed for her. I'm like, are you just jealous she got $5 to $7 million? I mean,
right. I mean, your Marvel claim to fame was Blade.
Yeah.
You good with that?
Which, by the way, was, definitely a movie that most people love. It's hard to watch now because it's very dated.
Right, exactly.
But it's pretty cool at the time.
Better than Spawn.
But yeah, better than Spawn. But I look at, when I see stuff like this, I'm like, that's cool. I mean, this guy has an opinion. That's whatever. I'm just like, who cares? Like, I don't.
I think that's the bottom line is he has his opinion. That's great, but he is nowhere near the level of Scorsese. So why is this getting so much attention?
I don't know. I think people really, really, really want to shit on Marvel. And, you've seen some stuff flare up. Like, Feige's not happy that Black Widow's not just being released in theaters. Or, you and I had talked about, how Edgar Wright, really didn't have a big beef when he left Ant-Man. Right. Like, it's like people, I think, are looking for some weakness, because Marvel has been doing well for over a decade. And I think people really, really, really want to see. It's our weird society, right? We want to build people up, celebrate them, and then we want to see them fall. We want to bring them down. And that day will come for Marvel, without a doubt.
100%.
It will come.
They've had some stumbles. They've never had a full fail.
They've never
had some stumbles.
They haven't had a stinker,
Right.
And their shows are just consistently hitting. WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, like these things are they're killing right now. You've got a big slate of movies coming down the pipe. You got Black Widow coming out. We've got Shang-Chi coming out. I mean, it's just like there's some big shit coming. And, I think people just kind of want to see some stuff, fall apart, and whatever. That's fine. I've heard stuff about the comic book movie bubble for years now, and to some extent I get it, right? I'm less inclined to take a risk on an unknown property that involves superheroes than one that I do know about. Like, I actually was surprised that I actually gave Jupiter's Legacy a shot. I was like, I think I know what this is, but I'm like, fuck it. I'll watch it. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It's canceled, but whatever. We're going to move on from there. But yeah, when I see something with superheroes now, I'm like, it has to be has to be really well entrenched in something for me to even give it a consideration, because I am a little fatigued by it. I'm a little like, all right, how many new spins can we do on this? Because there are people that are cashing in on the environment. But on the same side of that, it's hard to do what Marvel did. It's hard to replicate what they did. They were the ones that were to lay the foundation for what ultimately they were able to create, and they're living off of that. The fruit of the orchard they planted. And a lot of these other properties have a hard time doing that because they have to establish it. So they have to find a creative way to go about it. I've been working on my accents. How do you like?
I just want to hear you do that the rest of the episode.
Okay, here we go.
No,
that's
what
all I'm
accent
gonna say.
is that?
Oh, that's my Mexican.
Oh,
yeah,
very accurate.
Spanish, but with a hint of Mexico City.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going very regional with it.
Very specific.
Right.
It's a very specific dialect.
Yeah, absolutely. I could hear that.
I'm glad.
That's it.
I could hear that.
Hard stop.
Oh man, I wish I understood how to be able to do that. Just like that, just slip into an accent. I'm like, I've got a couple of Southern ones. That's it. That's all I have at my disposal. That's all I got.
I definitely do feel the superhero fatigue a little bit myself, just based off the fact that after Infinity War, no, Endgame, sorry, after Endgame, it did feel like it almost felt like that was our generation's story coming to a close, and then whatever happened next was truly meant for the next generation of like the next 10 years of moviegoers. We can watch it, but it's not necessarily aimed at us. It felt like there really was a nice period put at the end of the franchise, for at least for the people who came up with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt the same thing. I'm excited for Phase 4. I don't know if I'll get as invested as I was for this first chunk of the larger decades-long phase. I don't even know what we're calling it. Is this Phase 4 or Phase 5?
I think it's Phase 4.
Okay, so I guess Phase 1, 2, and 3. I keep referring to Phase 4. I guess we're not in that yet, right?
No. Well,
okay.
I think technically we are now. I think it's post-Endgame is Phase 4.
But Endgame wrapped up Phase 3. That was not Phase 4 itself.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So that was the period for me.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Disney Plus is Phase 4. Yeah, I think everything that started post Endgame is that. I felt the same way. It's just that that felt like such a good ending to their story. So for me, I'm like, cool, man. What happened from 2008 until 2000 whatever 18 or whatever? I'm like, that was chef's kiss. It was
near
phenomenal.
Perfection.
And everything that comes after that, as far as I'm concerned, is bonus. It's bonus stuff. And because I felt like there was this very cathartic release, and then there was no more releases for a year. I think Disney and Marvel were smart to be like, we need to take a break. Let's clear the air. It ended up being more than a year because of the pandemic.
Exactly.
But we were able to take a break because we have to reset now to sort of slowly build ourselves back into these things. We're introducing what's going on in WandaVision. We saw what's happening with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We've got Loki, although I don't know how much, I'll be curious to see how much Loki applies to the overall. It seems like it's a very self-contained place, but we'll see in the next two episodes.
Well, depending on what some of the fan theories, some of the fan theories that are out there still have not been debunked. So if some of them are true, then that's really going to lead a nice to Multiverse of Madness and Ant-Man 3. I think there's a lot of nice tie-ins that they could really. Loki could be like the giant springboard back into the film franchise.
And you've got Hawkeye. You've got, I'm curious with Black Widow.
Forgetting about Hawkeye.
Because I think that's in the fall. I think that's when that one is coming out.
November, I think.
I think so, yeah. And Black Widow is going to be curious to me too, because that takes place in the past.
Right.
So it'll be really interesting to see like what happens, with that. But
how long do you think they wait to reboot to bring back Cap and Iron Man? And
well, that's what I was gonna say. What'll suck about this is when they reboot the whole thing. Like that's what'll suck.
I take it back. I apologize, because technically they did bring back Cap with Falcon and Winter Soldier. They made Sam.
But you're talking about like the original, like Captain America.
Yeah, but I think they'll have to let Sam have his run as Cap before they reboot. So it's going to be probably another, I don't know. I mean, he's a relatively young guy. He could probably carry that for at least 2 or 3 more movies.
Yeah.
So we're talking another 6 years, maybe 6-7 years.
Yeah, I think that's what the part where I'll probably check out is when they're like, and now we're starting over at phase 1. I'm like,
retcon everything.
I don't really want to do that. I really don't want to do that. And I get it, man. That is a big just mountain of potential money to be made off of these rights. And I'm just like, but I don't want to go through that again. Like I don't need to see what, because what's been great about this is as wild as it's been, it's been relatively grounded for the most part. Relatively grounded.
Absolutely.
Like it's
as much as you can with the giant purple space monster.
As batshit as the comics get. This is pretty fucking like realistic for what we've seen. Like it's logically played out. We've gotten piecemeal, like, all right, there's this guy puts on some armor and he fights shit, and and here's this big guy turns green when he's angry, and there's also this guy who's Norse, a little bit of magic. And slowly we were like, and then there's space stuff, and then there's actual magic, and then there's Ant-Man, and then it's like we slowly opened up the world to where we are. It's like you can't go back to, all right, it's 1943 and this kid wants to get in the war. We can't do that, man. We just can't. I mean, also
by the time they probably decide to reboot this, we'll solidly be in our 50s or 60s,
and we'll be Doug will really hate stuff by then.
I mean, we're gonna have to dust out.
Stuff is stupid. Stuff is dumb. Doug hates stuff.
And at that point, it's just going to be...
I'm retiring. I'm retired. I don't want to watch this shit.
What is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be really bad. But I think going back to Stephen Dorf here, this is obviously some publications just trying to get views, is what this is. Like, they know that shit-talking Marvel is going to pull people out of the woodwork like us. We're talking about it. And, at the end of the day, these are pretty harsh words, to say, to kind of gather people to one side, in all of this. And it's I don't know. This kind of stuff bothers me.
The thing I'm just realizing now is that we probably need to go a little easier on Stephen Dorff, because it probably was never, my guess is that it was never his intention to publicly like come out super hard against Marvel and Scarlett Johansson and Black Widow. And like, I don't think, my guess is that he probably was asked a question, made a comment in an interview, and then exactly like you just said, the publication saw, the baby, this is it. Here comes our payday for clicks. And they were like, we're going to publish this, run it as the headline. Stephen Dorff calls out Black Widow.
Well,
people are just going to lose their mind.
He also talked pretty heavy shit on the Oscars. He said this year's Oscars were the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. My business is becoming a big game show. You have actors that don't have a clue what they're doing. You have filmmakers that don't have a clue what they're doing. We're all in these little boxes on these streamers, TV, film. It's all one big clusterfuck of content right now. Which, I think there's some truth in there, but also I'm like, I feel like this guy doesn't want to work anymore.
He just sounds angry, is what he sounds like. I go, the lines are being blurred big time, and some people, I guess, are theater purists, but to me, it's more. This is this can go person to person. This is just, it's all about the content for me. If you're telling me a good story, I really don't care what screen I'm watching it on.
Yeah.
As long as it's not my phone. I'd rather not do that. But
I've gotten more used to that though, honestly.
Are you?
Yeah, because like Natalie be watching something on the TV and I'm like, I'll just whip out my phone and watch something. That's fine because this is not kid friendly anyway. So put in the earbuds, watch my show.
One eye on the phone, one eye on what she's doing, and you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
But just for me, like I get what he's saying. The idea of things are becoming very noisy and we've kind of lost what Hollywood was, but I think that's an inevitable change. And you and I have talked about this before in previous episodes. Stuff has to change, and the model of Hollywood is not going to be the same, and it's probably not going to go back to the way it was ever. It may return to some sense of what it was, but I don't think it's ever going to return to what we once knew it as. I think the fabric of the entertainment industry has shifted. I think this is an example of someone who's angry about that.
Yeah, I mean, and I get, like I said, I could understand some of that anger, right? Like if there's so much content that's out there, there could be some truth in this where it's like, listen, man, these actors don't know what they're doing. And these filmmakers don't know what they're doing. They're just being told, make shit. And you're coming up there and you make, whatever crazy film that he's been in, right? And he's just like, it probably feels disingenuous. It probably feels like whatever magic and creativity is there is just absolutely been voided. And it's like, make this stuff. So I bet there's this really gross, greasy part of that probably feels pretty awful. And I'm sure he truly is hunting for a good project to feed him, and it's hard because you see a lot of actors that are out there, they're successful but maybe they feel the same way, right? And maybe they feel like, I can't say this shit because then I won't get any more jobs. Like I don't, if I am in the business, I hear Stephen Dorf saying that, I'm like, well, let's not call him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where he might be frustrated. He's like, man, fuck this. I'm over it. Yeah. Like I'm totally over this shit. It's like,
I guess I want to know, like, I would love to hear more specifics of what he meant by the Oscars were the worst they've ever, or a joke this year. Like, what is he upset about in that? Because I think some of the storytelling, yes, you're going to have stinkers whenever you have a streaming service and or whenever you have thousands or hundreds of streaming services, and they're all competing for subscribers, you're going to have some shit content because they've got to throw a bunch of stuff out there and see what rises to the top. But the stuff that does rise up, I feel like definitely cuts through the rest of the noise. You hear about the Marvelous Mrs. Maisels, and you hear about the Lord of the Rings series.
The Ted Lassos. And all that. Like, you hear about the good stuff. It does cut through. So what did he see that he was pissed off about? Was he upset that Minari won? I mean, is it also just a matter of he sees that the business for what it is and what it's always been, which is kind of a popularity contest? It's a gross sort of like, who can we use to increase our box office numbers that'll pull in, like, I mean, I'm a defendant on that because I'm like, that's part of the business. It's a business decision. I agree with you. It definitely is.
That's where you have to make if you're going to be in the industry, you've got to make your peace with the combination of art and business, or art and commerce. If you want to make, let me rephrase that. If you want to make a career in this business, you have to reconcile the where art and commerce meet, or where art and business meet. There's no way to have a career, a thriving career, without doing that.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
You've got to play the game a little bit.
I mean, that's anything, right? And if you get on, God forbid you get on LinkedIn, God help you if your guys are ever on LinkedIn, you're just like, man, my job is just a bunch of fucking assholes who are just trying to do this. I'm embarrassed for my boss. Like, I'm sure he's making, I don't know, 100, 200K thousand a year, but I'm embarrassed for him. I mean, he looks like yada, yada, yada. And you're just posting that. Do you think anyone's gonna be like, wow, Doug seems like a real cool, level-headed guy. I'd love to have him work at our organization, just so bizarre. Which, by the way, LinkedIn is fucking weird, man. I really don't like that site.
I am realizing that I don't necessarily jive with people who identify as like hardcore business professionals. Whatever their business is, it is a mentality. Like, I am a small business owner, but I feel like these people who are the business professionals of LinkedIn are just on another level, and I don't quite understand where they're coming from.
It's a plane of existence that is terrifying to me. It is
That is a great way of phrasing it.
Man, it is weird. Like, just there's this sheen on it, this gross. Well, I'll say this much: LinkedIn helped me get a new job, so thank you, LinkedIn. That part of it, big fan of. Their job stuff, pretty great.
Yeah.
But as far as interacting on there, really gross, man. Super duper gross. Like, it is jack nasty, and it is just got this weird vibe of people that it reminds me of. Do you remember when we were at assignment desk and we went to that conference at Soldier Field? And
buddy, oh my God,
it was so weird because then they're like, hey, let's take a break and just talk to the people that are next to you, basically network. And I remember I was talking with this really awkward dude who had like a paintball range, and he's like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I work for this video production company where basically we hook you up with video crews. I was like, what do you do? He's like, I own a paintball range. We just stared at each other. We both realized, like, there is absolutely nothing gained by the two of us knowing each other. By us communicating, we had nothing in common. There's no way we could further our interests. We still awkwardly gave each other like business cards, but we both knew they're like, this is pointless. Like, and listen, that's life, right? You're going to meet people that you don't have interests, you don't have anything aligned, and that's okay. But that in that moment, it was just it was so magnified because it was like, oh, we're supposed to be here to business things up here, and this is absolutely not working. Like, this is, and I feel like that's what LinkedIn is on a macro level. Just a whole bunch of people that are like, business, let's do business. I'm in business, you're in business. It's time to business. Are we businessing? I'm networking. Hey. And what's really wild is someone's like, hey, what's up, LinkedIn family? I'm out of a job. Who can hook me up? Well, I'm reaching out to my network. And it's just like they say all these gross, like, it seems like a bunch of self-help books that people have read, and they're like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm leaning into my nature, and I'm trying to reach out for help, or I'm just trying to, it feels like a really gross place to be. And I get a lot of annoying notifications from there all the time too. And part of me is like, I want to shut it down, but also there's some folks in there that I'm like, I truly do want to know if like someone does have a new job that I like. I truly want to congratulate them, but most of them are such bullshit notifications. And I'm like, should I just delete LinkedIn off my phone? Should I just do that and just let sleeping dogs lie? Just because also it's owned by Facebook, so that also makes me feel gross. So,
LinkedIn is owned by Facebook?
I'm pretty sure it is. Let me double check on that.
I know Instagram is. I didn't know if LinkedIn is. That's going to be a bummer.
Owned by Facebook. Since December 26, it has been wholly owned subsidiary of Microsoft. Microsoft. Okay. Not Facebook. I always thought it was Facebook for some reason.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Tint just backed us up on the chat there.
You're wrong. Thank you, Tint.
I definitely, the things that bum me out are when you get these connections or these requests from people to link, or I don't know what the fuck you call it, but
to connect.
You see them coming, you're like, I wish this was legitimate, but the minute you hit yes, they're going to hit you up with hey, so I run a course that this and this and this looks like you'd be a good fit for this. I'm like, you didn't look through my profile at all, because I'm not a good fit for this. And this was just a blind, cold sales email. And it feels very gross and impersonal. And if I had any inkling to do business with you, I probably don't know.
The ones I hated the most is when I was looking for a job and I get an email from a recruiter that's like, or what's even crazy, when I'm not looking for a job, they're like, hey, I just saw your resume. I think you'd be a great fit for this sales position. And I'm like, I looked over your resume. Your skills really speak. I'm like, no, you didn't. You literally didn't. Because if you did, you'd see zero sales experience on my resume. Like, go fuck yourself. And not only that, it costs you a lot of money to be able to send me a private message. Like, that's not cheap. And so I know it's probably a numbers game, but Because I don't mind some of the ones like, hey, look, we're looking for contracted instructional design work. Are you interested? And I'm like, that's fair. That's within my wheelhouse. I get it. You know, this is like a temporary thing. Do you want to help out? Whatever. Cool. I get that. But the ones that are like, I think you'd be good fit. Try this. Click this link. Find more. And I'm like, this has nothing to do with me. Why would you reach out? This is bizarre. Right. This is bonkers. Right. Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say if you don't have to be on LinkedIn, don't be on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I feel like we could go off for a long time on all the different pitfalls and things that we don't like about LinkedIn. Unfortunately, we have something else to get to, or fortunately.
Welcome to the Throwdown.
Oh, silky. I and Doug are now going to slowly scroll down in our shared document here.
All right.
And this is the first time that we have seen this Throwdown.
So as a reminder, if you're new to this episode, we just started doing this last week. Normally Justin and I would come up, well, originally Justin would think of the Throwdown on the fly during the show, not tell me, and then present it. And then as we would do production meetings, we would figure these out in advance. But now the new way to do it is the Council of Elders. Is now a select group of folks from our Discord who will meet in advance, and then they will come up with the Throwdowns, and we have no idea what they are until this very moment. Right. And we're looking at them now, and we now will now. This week's Throwdown is Spyro the Dragon versus Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. Good news, I know a lot about one of these. And
I'm going to guess it's Toothless.
You would be correct. The other one I know was a video game, but that's it.
I know my sister absolutely loved this video game. When I couldn't play Shaq Fu, it was because she was hogging.
Forget about Shaq Fu.
The game system. No, actually, I think this was on PlayStation, wasn't it? I don't think this was on Sega.
I think it was on PlayStation, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what I would. Wait, was Soul Reaver on PlayStation?
Yes.
I think that's what I would always try to play that, but I have to wait till she was done playing fucking Spyro.
Wait, Elijah Wood voices Spyro?
Why not?
That's crazy.
Also, can we talk about how bad this fandom page is?
Yeah, it's not great.
It's a purple background with orange, very light orange lettering for the hyperlinks. It's unreadable.
Yeah, this would not pass
unreadable.
An ADA inspection of website.
Gotta highlight everything to fucking read it.
Yeah. Not complimentary colors, y'all.
Don't like it. Don't like it at all. Okay.
Justin, you want to break down Spyro?
Yeah, let's do it. So, excuse me. Normally, dragons can only yield and master a single element. Spyro, being a purple dragon, can yield and master several, including fire, ice, earth, electricity, time, and heart. Sorry, that was Captain Planet. Electricity and time. So yeah, so he can basically harness most elements. And like all purple dragons, he can also wield many abilities that others cannot. Namely, he can impulsively master the element of convexity breath, theoretically a mixture of all four elements he possesses, and he once had control over dragon time to a certain extent. However, that power was seemingly exhausted when Spyro used dragon time to encase himself, Sparks, and Cinder inside a crystal to protect them from harm, as he has not been seen using it again. It is also as is standard with dragons, he can fly. So he can yield the elements, he can breathe fire, and also breathe all the other elements, and then fly.
All right, let's talk about Toothless. I'm already feeling like I know who's going to win this.
Okay, let me hear it.
So, Toothless is considered one of the strongest dragons in the world of How to Train Your Dragon. He toppled the Red Death.
But he's so tiny.
Yep, but he's a Night Fury, one of the few that are left.
I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, it's actually a really good series. I recommend it. Okay. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. The first one in particular is really, really good. Fantastic score. Absolutely love it. He's very fast. He's taken down several big creatures. Pretty impressive. He can make sonic booms when flying. He can dodge attacks. He's very durable. Let's see here. He's carried a 400-pound Viking on his back for a full day without rest. What else? He's defeated all these things. But he has some significant weaknesses. So he's very fast. He's very durable. He's got incredible fire blasts.
God, these powers and abilities are just endless for him.
Yeah, but most of them are more like a resume of what he's done. He's like, okay. I've killed this person. I've killed that person. Defeated this person.
He's got cloaking.
So, I mean, he does have some camouflage abilities. Well, that's right. He did learn how. Well, it's limited cloaking. Stealth camouflage. Yeah, his fire is pretty impressive. But the problem here is that one of his big weaknesses is that he has an artificial tail. Because in the first movie, you find out that the main character Hiccup actually hurts him, and so he's unable to fly. But Hiccup is an engineer, and he figures out a way to create a harness that allows him to fix his tail. So while Hiccup is flying him and utilizing the tail as a rudder, he can fly. Now, in the last movie, Hiccup does make it so that Toothless can fly without him, but the thing is, that's man-made. It will break down over time. And if it gets damaged, he's fucked. So that's a significant weakness, as far as I'm concerned. Also says he has a 6-shot limit for his plasma blasts, which I wasn't aware of, but apparently that's a thing. He's also susceptible to certain dragon weaknesses, so if he eats an eel, he goes berserk. And skittish, doesn't trust anybody. What was it? Scratching below his neck lulls him into unconsciousness, as well as pinching his neck. He has a tendency to move towards a light source. So all in all, I think Toothless is incredibly powerful. He's incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Spyro can control time. So yeah, and the fake tail is flammable, right? We've seen that in the movies for what's his nuts for Toothless. You light that shit on fire. I mean, it's probably at this point, if you're talking about after the third movie, it's probably resistant to fire, but still, I mean, he hits that thing the wrong way, he's not flying anymore. That's it. Yeah. And if you've got a dragon that masters fire, ice, earth, electricity, and time, I mean, Spyro. Right. And what are Spyro's weaknesses, right? Does he have any? It doesn't
list him here, yeah. He's a little naive about the ways of the world, but is eager to learn and grow. He's also very courageous, and at one point saves Cinder from being destroyed. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Adventurous, curious about his past, and eager to shape his future. He shows recklessness of an adolescent at times, but is slowly growing into the role of a leader of a proud species.
So he may be a little, I don't know, untested when it comes to, but no, man, if he's going to master all these elements and shit like that, he's been through some stuff. Maybe he's not a tactical genius, but I mean, he has a lot of he has room for error.
The thing is, if he is fire, ice, earth, when you say ice, so not water, he can't control water? Because I was could he just bring up water and throw eels at Spyro? Toothless?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe his breath turns to ice instead of water. Maybe that's what it is.
That could be, yeah. But I mean, if you're throwing all these different things at Toothless, that's a lot to contend with.
Yeah, Toothless, I don't feel has really dealt with magical things. He's fought other dragons, but that's the thing too. Is Toothless is dealing with dragon rules that don't necessarily apply to Spyro. And again, How to Train Your Dragon world, dragons have a certain number of breath attacks that they have within a certain period of time before they have to recuperate. So apparently, Toothless is a 6. So once he fires 6 times, that's it. Which I feel is also
recharge.
I don't know. I question that one because in the first movie he fires a lot in a sequence where I'm I don't feel that's true. But Spyro doesn't seem to have the weaknesses that Toothless does. And again, I think the biggest one is Toothless's his tail. If that thing gets fucked up at all, he can't fly. So If Spyro does some huge AoE blast and hits, Spyro does that to Toothless, and that apparatus goes awry, he's done. He's falling out of the air. He's screwed. Yeah. Whereas if Toothless hits him with a blast, it will do damage, but Spyro can still fly. Like there's, you know what I mean?
Spyro might also be able to encase himself.
Yeah.
Right?
In some sort of crystal?
Nope. It just jumped on me. This fucking website.
Yeah, he encased himself in sparks and cinder instead of crystal to protect him from harm.
Yeah, it was seemingly exhausted, but still he was able to do it. So maybe he could muster that up again. And also, as someone said here in the chat, I can't remember where it was, Spyro can skateboard. Game over.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Jared. Yes. Yeah, I just think, again, if he hits Toothless, grounds him, and then he can control the earth, what are you going to do?
Right. And he can control time. Again, he can control time.
Like that is the key to this whole thing.
Yeah. As much as I hate to say it, I love Toothless. He's great, but I don't think they're playing by the same rules here, but those are the universes. This is the Throwdown. I think Spyro takes it over on Toothless.
Yeah, we're going Spyro! I also like that Jared goes, Spyro is the Thanos of the Dragon world when he collects all the powers.
Yeah. Toothless is the better flyer as long as his tail doesn't get fucked up. Yeah, if he's grounded, Spyro wins for sure. That's it, man. Game over, man.
Yeah. I also like how Tint goes, breathe ice, then fire. Boom, breathe water.
Tint is also very practical, and I respect that about him.
Fuck yeah. That's why we love Tint.
That's right. That's right, baby. That's right, baby.
Wait, Spyro. I'm just catching up on some of this here.
Yeah.
There's one dragon. Is it one dragon juggernaut? Yeah, absolutely. I think we made the right decision.
I think so.
If you disagree and you're listening to this, let us know.
Yeah. Hit us up, baby. Let us know.
And tell us why.
Tell us why.
Back up your claims.
Yeah, for sure. So, Justin, what do you have to recommend this week?
Oh, gosh. There's a show that I just started watching. I think you might be into it if you want to check it out, everybody. It's called Ted Lasso. It's on Apple TV+. Season 2 is coming out in a couple weeks. I'd say get on that. I'm actually just finishing up the Kaminsky Method. I would say season 1 and season 2 are fucking amazing. Season 3, it's all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's on Netflix, so you can check that out. And then, again, I know there's something else. Sid Penrose coming out July 13th on YouTube. So be on the lookout for the public release of Sid Penrose.
Cannot wait. Cannot wait to watch that again.
Dougie Fresh, what do you got?
I'm late to the game on this, as always, but Inside, Bo Burnham's newest special, available now on Netflix. Wow. I was completely blown away by it. That guy, I've seen some of his older specials, and even then, like his other one, Make Happy, is also available on Netflix right now, which I recommend, which is, he references that. Inside, he said he basically took a break from performing for 5 years because he was having panic attacks. And I realized, like, in that special Make Happy, he's kind of referencing that he's, and while joking, talking about he's not at his best mental health. And Inside is amazing because I love the way that it's filmed, for starters. He, wrote, directed,
one room,
filmed it all by himself in a room. And it's a very raw, vulnerable, project that took, I think, over a year to make, and it's got some really great songs. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like hilarious.
It's not,
but it's very entertaining, and I think it's very powerful. Mm-hmm. And I think I heard Anthony Jeselnik watched it, and he goes, he loved it. He goes, but it's not a comedy special. And he goes, and that's okay. It's its own thing. He goes, I think some people are watching it and they're like, this isn't a special. He's like, it's not. It's its own thing, and it's awesome in its own way.
This
and
is
I totally
one of those
agree.
things where I would just call it. This is a piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
This is in a way, this is just a piece of cinema, and you can take that for however you want to take it. But it's songs. Some of them are humorous in nature.
Sure,
but they're not like I would not count it as a straight up comedy special.
Yeah. Like White Woman Instagram, I found to be one of the more humorous ones. That one was fantastic.
Just gonna say that one's good, yeah.
And
but there's some real fucking deep kind of dark shit that he goes
well,
into.
the what was it? The internet song was like very funny, but also like, oh shit, this is very true and very sad. Like it's which is a lot of that stuff is, you know, it's
But if you think about too, like as you watch it, think about the fact that he had to write all of these songs. He had to conceptualize of the storyline that he's going through, write all the songs, record all of them, harmonies, instrumentations, main vocal, all the stuff, and then go back and record, mix, and master those, then go back and actually film himself doing it. All the different camera shots, all the different lighting, playing the different instruments, all the costumes, the themes, the changes. Like when you really take a step back and look at what he did solo, it is mind-blowing.
Yeah. It's fucking phenomenal. Yeah. And I know he's also directed a couple of movies in that 5-year period. You can tell it really, those skills have been really refined, and he's done a phenomenal job. So watch it knowing you probably won't be slapping your knee. It's not a Bert Kreischer or Tom Segura special, but it's very good, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's definitely something that I think, to me, it really spoke to me, and I really enjoyed it. And I appreciate him for putting himself out there and making something like that. And really, I think capturing what 2020 was in a lot of ways, you know, for a lot of people. Yeah. And
I totally agree.
Yeah, it was awesome. So definitely go check that out.
Good wreck, Doug.
Thanks, man. Thank you. I'll wreck your ass. I could also wreck your ass on the Mind Gap socials. All our social medias at Mind Gap Podcast, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, at Mind Gap Podcast. Also, check out our YouTube channel at Mind Gap Podcast, where we post all of our videos and clips and all sorts of shit. And check us out on Twitch, goddammit. Twitch.tv/Mind Gap Podcast. Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Central Time. We record this podcast. Come hang out with us. Chat with us. We require it of you. And then also, Saturdays, 8 p.m. Central, twitch.tv/Mind Gap Podcast. Come hang out with us when we do our video game streams. We're going back in the dungeon, baby. D&D, the fantasy board game. Heading back in. It's going to be a lot of fun this Saturday, 8 p.m. Central. Come hang out. Enjoy the show. And also, don't forget to follow Justin online as well.
I'm going to pause on that real quick. And that's right. Wolf did spend points to call out someone. Here, to Slotty Bartfest for all the work he does behind the scenes. It's appreciated. And to Drew for sticking around past the toilet humor.
Holy shit. Sorry I missed that, man. You're right. You did do that.
Thank you. I thank you for keeping us honest on that. We did not mean to miss that.
Yes.
Thank you. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts, Verbal, Good Bean, Podbean, that's the one, Good Pod, and all the other ones. Wherever you listen to us is great. Share us, subscribe, rate, review, and again, the big one is sharing. Just copy the link to any episode that you enjoy, send it out to your social network, put it on LinkedIn. Tell your LinkedIn crew, hey guys, business, Mind Gap, business.
Hey, I listen to this show that's all about farts. Hire me.
Exactly. Hey, have you heard about Synergy?
Not while I'm drinking, you son of a bitch. Oh my God. I about spit all over my computer.
I wanted that so bad. I wanted to get a spit take.
You ever been that focused where you're like controlling your body? You're like, I am in control of my body. I will swallow this. I will not spit it out. I will not shit my pants. There's all those moments you're like, no, I control you. Yeah. That was one of those. I had to focus really hard. Anyway, sorry. 2east8th.com/mindgap and then 2east8th. Just keep an eye on all of 2east8ths. That's the number 2. I don't do math. East 8th. Keep an eye on all the socials because we got Sid Penrose coming out and Chris and Matt videos are dropping. We've got other stuff we're working on. There's a whole mess of shit. So rounding out 2021 should be some good times for 2east8th. Hell yeah. So once again, I just want to thank you all for hanging out with us. This is always a blast. It's a highlight to my week, and we always like chatting with you all. So I will swallow and not shit myself. That could be the quote of the night. You're right. That's very true. Yes, very true. Yes. But that being said, I want to say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Twitch, thank you.
And listeners, thank you.
And you all have a dandy fucking week.
Mind Gap Podcast.